So I'd like to start today. This is a story from Robert De Niro, the great actor. And, I always I like to start with something kind of humorous, and sometimes it just perfectly matches what I want to say. Well, not today, but I want to say it anyway. So I'll find a way to bend it and shape it to what I'm trying to talk about. An actor had been out of work for 15 years because he always forgot his lines, kind of important in acting. Then one day he got a phone call from a director who wanted him for a big part in a play, and he only had one line. All he had to say was, "Hark, I hear the cannon roar." So after much worry, the actor decided to take the role. Opening night arrived, and while he waited in the wings, he muttered to himself, "Hark, I hear the cannon roar. Hark, I hear the cannon roar." The time for his entrance finally came, and as the actor made his appearance, he heard a loud boom. He turned around and said, "What the heck was that?" That was from Robert De Niro. So we're talking about living the life of your dreams. How many of us have been preparing for a moment of our lives, and when it arrives, we miss it? See, that's the tie-in right there. Our dreams are meant to be made real. Our dreams are meant to be lived experiences. What does Reverend Howard teach us? Life is meant to be good. Yeah, life is meant to be good. And our dreams, it's an aspiration. It's seeing something that isn't yet and knowing it can be. And then the second part of that, as that poor actor failed to do, is recognizing it when it arrives and celebrating it in gratitude. So sometimes I like to, when I'm working with an idea or a concept, I like to really go back to the origins of the word. Words are they contain each of them their own history. And the meanings change over time. In Old English, there is a word that is spelled D-R-E-A-M and is pronounced dream, and it has nothing to do with our current English word of dream. Did you know that? It meant joy or music. We think that the current word dream in English actually began in Middle English, and came from German and Dutch. There is a word in German called trauma, and then in Dutch there is a word called droom, and those mean simply the images we see when sleeping. That very physical dream, when our brain activity when we sleep. There is some thought that maybe this idea of the Old English word meaning dream and of joy and music was folded in at some point, but it really only meant dream. This word, when it occurred in Middle English, just meant what we see when we sleep, which does have spiritual significance, and many people interpret dreams, and they get spiritual messages in those sleeping dreams. But dream, the way I'm talking about it today, of seeing something that might be in mind and heart and holding it, and then having it revealed over time, that's kind of new. Just the last couple of centuries have we begun to expand the meaning of dream into an aspiration, a hope. So really, just in the 1800s is when that came about. But there are a lot of, I don't know why, normally I always have a few quotes in my messages, but I had about 900 today that wanted to be read, and I've pared it down to about 600, so I'm just going to read you a few right here at the top. Henry David Thoreau said this, "Our truest life is when we are in dreams awake." William Faulkner, "The end of wisdom is to dream high enough not to lose the dream in seeking it." Langston Hughes, this is one of my favorites, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly." And this actually is my favorite one here. This is from Eleanor Roosevelt. "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." Do you have a dream? Dr. Martin Luther King stood before hundreds of thousands of people in Washington, D.C. and boldly declared a dream for our nation. And that dream is not complete, but it is moving. And we've seen the places where it's not fully realized, and we've seen the progress made. And I think that would have been his intention for that dream. And how many of us still feel the fire of that passion that he spoke so beautifully and want to participate in that dream? I know I do. Every time I hear that speech, I'm re-enrolled What can we do to heal racism in our culture? It's powerful. That's what a dream can be. And each of us has a dream. Maybe we have more than one dream. And there's a lot of teaching in Unity on how we can make those dreams come true. One of the most powerful teachers on this is our friend Mary Morrissey, and she teaches a lot on this quote from, see, there's quote number 400, from Henry David Thoreau from his essay, Walden. This will doubtlessly be familiar to many of you. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with success unexpected in common hours. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. There's something in you that has not shown up yet in form, but it's calling to you. There's a greater experience of life, of love, of work, of family. It's not here yet, but you feel it. And maybe you don't even feel it today. Maybe it's not alive in you, but I know it's in you because this is the nature of life itself. There's an evolutionary impulse everywhere in creation, and it's you. It's in you. There's something that has yet to be revealed, right, Rona? That is seeking to be made real through you. Mary Morrissey is a powerful teacher on this topic. Her book, Building Your Field of Dreams. If you want to know more about this work, I'm going to point you to there because I'm actually not going to talk to you today about how to make your dream come true. What instead I want to talk to you is about, maybe a little more challenging, I want to talk to us about what to do when our dream isn't coming true. Yesterday, as this talk I chose the title weeks ago, and I wrote it all up, and then I thought I was going to be talking about how to make your dreams come true. And then the way these work in me, little ideas over the weeks, they'll begin to kind of formulate, and the day before I give the message, I usually just kind of formulate it, put it all on my iPad. I've got this mind map program that works great for helping me do that. And I realized that that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what happens when our dreams don't come true. It's a tough question. It made me think of a quote that I've heard Mary Morrissey speak a lot. It says, "The quality of our lives depends upon the quality of our questions." So I sent Mary a text yesterday morning, and I was out and about doing things, and she called. I missed her call, but she left me like a 3-minute class in a voicemail. It was so great. And I'd asked her, I was like, is this quote yours, or where's the source of that quote? And she said, well, in the 90s, I was giving a talk, and those words came out of me. And as soon as I said it, I felt the truth of it. And she said, since then, she's seen it all over, and I saw it, Googled it, it's all over the place, or variations of it. She said, it may be the people have heard me speak it, or maybe it's just a truth that multiple people have stumbled upon. But the way she teaches it is that she often refers it like to Google. If you just type in Google, I want to see a great movie, it's not going to probably give you a very good specific. It might give you a list of great movies of all time. It might, but if you want to go see one in your neighborhood, it's not going to give you that. But if you put in your zip code and put movie times, it's going to give you exactly what you're looking for. Did you know that? For those of you who are Googlers. And that is a great metaphor for the way that it works with us. Are we asking puny questions, or are we asking quality questions? And so if we're going to delve into this somewhat troubling topic of why don't dreams come true, the truth is I don't have an answer for you. But I think I have some good questions. I think there are 3 questions that I would really like you to ask yourself about your dreams and they're being made reality. And these questions are this: is this truly my dream? And the second question, is this dream big enough? And the third question, what am I willing to give? So let's look at this first question. Is this truly my dream? And what I mean by that is this truly my dream? How many of you have parents that had an idea about what your life should look like? How many of you have made decisions based upon what your mom and dad thought? Now, there is an age, Jason, I see your kids like looking at you. They're like, I'm going to give you permission to live your own life, but not yet. There is a stage in maturation in life when you're still living at home, your parents are guiding you. And in a healthy family, in a functional family, that's exactly right. Helping you choose well, and when you don't, correcting you. This is what good parenting is. But there comes a point in our evolution in emotional and spiritual terms where we have to lay aside what our parents or our caregivers or our mentors, our teachers told us, and we have to bring forth that which is authentically in us. And what we teach in Unity is that light in you is God. That it's the indwelling presence, the Christ mind. And in the Bible it says that we have the same mind that was in Christ Jesus. We are joint heirs with Christ. I don't think Jesus' parents, his earthly parents, would have chosen the path for him that he took. There was a great joke on that at our talent show. I almost stole one of your jokes, Mark. I'm just going to tell you. There comes a point when we must lay aside somebody else's dream for our life and take up our own. And it's not always an easy thing. Many of us we're conditioned and trained and prepared to be people pleasers. The disease to please, I've heard it called. There's something in us that seeks approval for all of our actions. I see you people elbowing each other. What's up with that? And there will come a time, the kind of dreams that we're talking about today, where you may have to make some decisions and choose some things that will be met with disapproval by people you love and value. And this, I believe, is the meaning of that scripture where Jesus said, I did not come to bring peace. I come to set father against son. There's a spiritual meaning in that he knew that there is something within us which must be brought forward. But if we only do the thing that is pleasing to others, we will miss that thing which is pleasing to our soul and which ultimately is pleasing to the whole. To God. Emerson said it this way: the fact that I am here shows me that the capital S soul had need of an organ. Shall I not assume the post? The fact that I am here at all means there's something that is mine to do. There are no extra parts in the universe. There are no extra people in the universe. You and I are here to reveal our authentic nature. Rumi said that our job, our task, is to discover and deliver the authentic self. And how many of us have spent decades doing what others wanted us to do? So that's one question that I really invite you to ask. Is this my dream? Sometimes we struggle and work to create something that was just not ours to do. I can't tell you how many times that I've had people in my counseling office who have, in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, have realized they've spent 20, 30 years building a career that they don't love. Life is too short. This life is too short. Howard Thurman said this about that. I tell you, these quotes, they're just here. This one wasn't even on my mind map. But I love this quote by Dr. Howard Thurman. He said this: don't ask what the world needs. Go and do what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Yeah, that's the message right there, right? So what is it that gives you passion? And so the next part of that is, first we said, is this my dream? The first question. But is this your dream? Which leads us to my second question. Is it big enough? So, if your dream, you already have the steps laid out and you already have all the materials gathered to build it, that's not a dream, that's a goal. Can we be clear? Goals are great and important, and I'm all for goal setting and goal accomplishment, but that's not what I'm talking about. If you know how to build it, that ain't a dream. It's got to be bigger than you currently have the skills and resources to create. So, I've said this before, but I resisted being a minister a lot. I had a cool job for many years. I was a musician. And then so I did not want to be a minister. I had the responsibility. There's so many reasons that I just thought, I just don't want to do that. But as it became clear that that calling that I had first felt at 15 had been rekindled and was still alive, and then they go and build a ministry school right in my backyard at my church in Dallas, and my minister was like, when are you going to start? I guess, I finally entered, I filled out the application, I started my classes very begrudgingly with a lot of resistance. But there was one saying that I held on to for dear life those first couple of years of ministry school, and it was this: God doesn't call the equipped, God equips the called. I don't know who that one's by, so I can't give you the source. I'll text Mary. She might know. God doesn't call the equipped. God equips the called. So it's okay that it's bigger than you are. As a matter of fact, it's necessary, because the journey of moving in the direction of your dreams will build the skills you need, to realize your dream. Is your dream big enough? I'm going to say more about that in a moment. But last week when Howard, several things happened in last week's service that I was like, I need to write that down. And I try not to write, I keep notes on my phone, but I've been told it looks like I'm texting during service, so I try not to do it on the front row when Howard is speaking. But there were things just firing last week, so I was trying really hard to remember it until after the service so I could write it down. And this was one of them. He gave us Fillmore's definition of unity. And I love this. This comes from Charles Fillmore's really seminal book. It's the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary called Your Revealing Word, The Revealing Word. And this is Charles Fillmore's definition of the word unity, not our movement. He said this: unity is universal oneness of God, man, and all creation. The only real unity is in spirit. It is found nowhere else. And this is the part I want you to hear. It is found nowhere else because personality always strives for its own success and aims for the good of the personal man instead for the good of all men. It strives for its own success and aims for the good of personal man instead of the good of all men. The spiritual unity is not just about you getting your stuff. A dream is not something you acquire. A dream is something you become. And it has to be something that lifts the whole. There's a famous story. I'm not ready to tell that story yet. Because at least they just run together. The questions do interrelate. Martin Luther King's dream, did it raise the whole? It was not just a personal dream for his own success and advancement. He wasn't trying to secure his place in history. It was an authentic dream of a nation healed from this centuries-old wound from slavery into racism. It was a big dream for all of us. Your dream doesn't have to be as grand. Your work doesn't have to be as worldly important, but there must be something in it that raises the whole. Your authentic gift will do that, always. This is the nature. There are no extra parts in the universe. When one part is expressed to its authentic nature, when the dream is fulfilled, it raises us all. It's really important. Jesus knew this. There are two things that Jesus said which I think we don't really believe, and if we believe it, we don't quite practice it. And I'm placing myself in that camp of the not yet. But Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. Don't you know? You're the light of the world. And then he also said, greater things than these shall those do who come after me. I don't see us doing that very often. I don't think we really believe that we're the light of the world. I think it's time. I think maybe Dr. King knew he was the light of the world. Maybe. Others along the way have, but I don't feel I'm there yet, but I want to be. I want to believe that that light that is in me, that Jesus said was there, that there is something so powerful and authentic in me that I must express it because it will bring us all forward. And I want that for you too. This week I invite you to ask yourself that question, is my dream big enough? And the last question I want to ask us, what am I willing to give? Now the story. There's a famous story. Itzhak Perlman, one of the greatest violinists of any century, of any generation, had given just one of those performances. People were weeping with the beauty, the majesty that he was able to create on 4 strings and a bow. It's amazing. The massive creation that a violinist like that can make on air. I'm sorry, I'm going to have a little rhapsodic moment here on music, but it's incredible. And this woman came up to him after the performance and she said, "Oh, maestro, I would give my life to play as you just did." And he looked at her without even cracking a smile and said, "I did. I did. I did give my life so that I could do that." How many of us are willing to give ourselves to that degree? Are you willing to give your passion to your dream? Are you willing to bring that kind of dedication and passion? As I was thinking about what am I willing to give, it also occurred to me that we might want to look at what are we willing to give up? I grew up in a fundamentalist church, and I remember singing, "All to Jesus I surrender all." And I remember I'm supposed to surrender TV, I'm supposed to surrender, and then later it was drinking and dancing, and it was all these things that I really thought that Jesus wanted to take away everything that was good. There was another song that we used to sing, when Jesus took my burden and left me with a song. Do you remember that one? And I, very young, must have been 3 years old, I had this image of like a bird cage that was empty and a song in there. I was like, why did Jesus take my birdie and leave me with a song? I didn't understand. But early on, I got that message that God wanted to take from me those things I liked. So I had to surrender it. And it took me a while to unlearn that message and to relearn the powerful spiritual principle of surrender. What we're required to give up in order to realize the dream that is in us are those things that stand in its way. Our smallness, our false beliefs and self-concepts that would keep us from our greatness. That's what you're being required to give up. There's a wonderful story in the Hebrew Scripture. It's the year 5775 in the Jewish calendar. They've been doing this spirituality thing a long time. This is one of the primary stories in both the Jewish and the Christian faith. Moses had a dream that was given to him to set my people free. Go down to Egypt and tell Pharaoh, let him go. And you remember the story. If you hadn't, there's a new movie coming out. Ridley Scott is remaking the 10 Commandments. It should be great. The special effects look cool. But go Netflix the original, the Cecil B. DeMille, if you want all the story about the plagues and all that. The part of the story I'm really interested in, how it applies to this idea today, is once they got out the waves, the chariots were drowned in the Red Sea. They thought, now we're going to go to the promised land. Because there was a land that was promised to these captive souls in bondage. There is a land that is yours where you will be free. And so, they just went on in and they had lived happily ever after, right? No. Seems it took a while. How long did it take, Bible people? 40 years. Are you willing to give time for your dream to be realized? In metaphysical Bible interpretation, 40 is the number given to describe the time necessary for complete transformation. Are you willing to dedicate your time? Because sometimes we think it should be here yesterday. I had this great dream. Why isn't it here already? In the 12 steps, there's a saying, don't give up before the miracle. Sometimes in unity, I think we don't emphasize the power of sustained, diligent effort. If it doesn't feel good and if it's not easy, well, let it go. Life is meant to be good, and sometimes there is work to be done over time. Michael Beckwith says this about it. He says, delay is not denial. So some of you today are on the verge of giving up on your dream. Delay is not denial. Are you willing to give it the time it needs? Last week, our ensemble sang this amazing song, and I didn't realize in the first service that our music director, Greg Van Rosenberg, told me, did you know that Gary wrote that song? Our pianist, Gary Norian, writes amazing music. But the song they sang was, "The Dreamer You Become." He said, the greatest part of dreaming is the dreamer you become along the way. In the Exodus story, none of the original generation that were freed from Egypt were able to enter the promised land, including Moses. He died before crossing the River Jordan into Canaan. What this symbolizes is the part of you that created the dream is not the part that will realize it and reveal it. What needs to die are your small and limited ideas of yourself, and the journey will take care of that for you. The obstacles in your way, well, part of you is going to die. And it's hard. And when you embrace that process and you let those things go that no longer serve. Mark Nepo, I was at Unity Village 2 weeks ago, and one of my favorite authors in contemporary spirituality, and he said this, it is when we love the thing that is in our way that it will cease to be an obstacle. This is a hard teaching. It would be much easier to say your affirmations and all your dreams will come true. It would. But you're bigger than that. To merely preach a success gospel is not worthy of our soul. Because what is required for your dream to come true is complete transformation. You're small and limited. You think that you're just your limitations, and you're not. Some of you right now, I know you're at retirement age, and you think, I don't want to dream any more dreams. I'm done. It doesn't work that way. I read recently, I don't know who got this quote, they're just all here, but it said, I'm going to die young. I may be 98 years old, but I'm going to die young. I'm going to keep being vital and alive and growing forever. Abraham says this, happy, healthy, dead, right? Let us stay vital. Our dream will keep us young. Your dream will keep you young. I don't know how it happens that the message I give in the second service stretches. I was short in the first service, and I'm out of time. I want to leave you with this. Reverend Howard read this a few weeks ago, the quote from Hafiz, the brilliant Sufi poet from the 14th century. I wish I could show you when you are lonely or in darkness the astonishing light of your own being. That's what I want to leave you with. There is a spark of divinity in you that is trying to be revealed in greater and greater degree, and it's your dream. That your dream is the vehicle. Your dream is the way that your divinity will be given to all of us. This is the whole poem. One day the sun admitted, I am just a shadow. I wish I could show you the infinite incandescence that has cast my brilliant image. I wish I could show you when you are lonely or when you're in darkness the astonishing light of your own being. You are the light of God, and I love you. God bless you.